I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
And a happy Sunday fun day to everybody out there. Scott Duff here along with Ellen Miller.
Good morning, Scott Duff.
Good morning, Ellen Miller. How are you?
Oh, you know.
You look very crisp today.
I changed my look today.
I know you've got a very crisp blouse.
I have a nice
Usually you're in
silk
like some
blouse
sort of
on.
like rock and roll t-shirt.
Yeah, I know. I just thought, well, you know what? Changing it up.
Let's be professional.
Let's be professional.
Yeah,
Just pretend at least that
Right.
we're being
All right.
professional.
Let's pretend that we're being professional because the Goon Squad is forming.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Y'all and folks are tense out there, but you know the sun will come out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Is that it? Is that it? Bet your bottom dollar. I don't know. Well, listen, if you are in desperate need of some optimism,
Yes.
then you need to get thee to the Chicago Theater to go see Annie.
Yeah.
I mean, can you talk about anything more hopeful, more optimistic?
Sunshine everywhere.
Sunshine ever. Well, not the beginning.
Oh, no, I've never seen it.
What?
I never saw
Wait.
That little girl's voice made me so crazy. I heard the commercials over and over and over and over again, and I got like PTSD over it.
All right, you need to hold that to yourselves.
But I'm open-minded about this Chicago theater production.
Yeah, the Chicago
am.
Theater Production is having. We're going to be speaking with director Jenn Thompson later on in the show.
Fun.
She was actually in the original Broadway cast.
She was?
Yes.
She wasn't that little girl, was she?
No, that was Andrea McCurdle.
Oh, yeah. Whatever happened to her?
She's still doing stuff.
She is?
Yeah, she later went on. She was in Starlight Express, the
yes.
Andrew Lloyd Webber thing. She was Dinah, the dining car.
That's right. I'm sure she.
Why do I know that?
Because
that's
you're
right.
an actor.
Gay.
And gay
and
actor.
Gay as gay can be. And also, Thanksgiving is coming up.
Is it?
It is.
Oh, that's happening among all the other
That is
crazy
happening
things? Oh, yeah.
among all the other stuff. And Food Network just launched a new competition series, Harry Potter Wizards of Baking, this week. It blends legendary storytelling and fantastical edible creations in a never-before-seen competition that will have you at the edge of your seat. And Chicago-based pastry chef Juan Gutierrez is competing on the show, and he's going to join us in the second hour to let us in on all the
I wish
magic.
he was coming in studio with some of his
Right?
delights.
I know.
Juan, if you're listening, you can still make it.
Well,
Is
yes,
he in town?
in Senate. He might be in town. Well, he's a let us entertain you person.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I did read his bio.
Yeah. So we're very excited about that. And of course, we would love to hear from you during these hellacious times. So give us a call at 773-763-9278. That number again is 773-763-9278. Of course, you can find us on Facebook where we are coming at you live.
I think we are.
Well, at some
Eventually
point.
we will
Eventually
be.
we'll be there. Just head on over to Out Chicago Radio, and while you're there, give us a click and a like and a share. You can also watch it on WCPT. If that doesn't float your boat, you can always tune in to WCPT AM 820. And while you're at it, follow WCPT and our sister network Heartland Signal on the Faceplace Instagram. Not on that other place.
No,
And
people
the
are getting
TikToks.
off of it. They're jumping off of it.
They are jumping off
Like
of
a
that
sinking
thing.
ship.
They sure are. There we are. How are you doing,
I am
Ellen Miller?
immersing myself in as many positive experiences, i.e., theater, music, whatever I can do.
Look, I keep going back to doing your joy homework.
Yes.
During this point, joy is a practice.
Yes.
And you have to actively seek out the things that bring you joy. So I'm glad you're doing all that.
I am doing it. Last Monday night we went to the City Winery and saw Valerie June. She is originally from the Memphis area. I know her through a close personal friend. She's a wonderful, wonderful person and a beautiful artist. And she did a show. Mondays are tough, but she had a pretty good crowd. And she is joy. And she's going through. Look at black women in this country. 92% of them voted for Kamala
God, I
Harris.
know her. I just looked her up again when you said she's
You
from
know
Memphis. Yes,
Valerie
she used to
June.
work at Maggie's Farm.
She did?
Yeah.
Was that a club? Or?
No, it was a pharmacy. It was like this. It
Pharmacy?
was an apothecary thing. I just sit there and I looked at her. I'm like, oh, wait, I know you.
Yes, she's in her 40s. She looks so young, but like I said, I have the black friends that I have here in Chicago. I'm hugging them. I'm talking to them. They're hurting. We're all hurting. Women that voted for Kamala Harris are probably the same women that voted for Hillary Clinton 8 years ago, and we got a gut punch then, and we got another huge one this time, and people are hurting. And she was up there on stage really expressing her hurt, but also trying to find the light and having people sing along and just, the kind of thing we need to do and stay together and stay strong and stay involved and stay active. And it's just, I don't know if everybody in the crowd was into it, but I know all the women were for sure, and some of the men were. And that was a very soothing and wonderful place to be on Monday night. So we did that. And another wonderful place to be on Wednesday night was the Neil Diamond musical that's won tons of awards on Broadway. The Neil Diamond musical, A Beautiful Noise.
Okay.
Kathy's a huge Neil Diamond fan. I know every word to most of his songs. If you grew up in a certain era.
I thank the Lord for the nighttime.
Thank the Lord for the nighttime. I thank the Lord for the... that song was in there, but so many.
It wasn't?
No, that one was not in there to my recollection.
Cherry had to
Sweetie
be in there.
can check me on that. But Cherry, yes.
Yeah.
You got the way to move me. It was, it's a jukebox musical. One of the people that did Jersey Boys, a couple of them were involved in this. If you like Neil Diamond and you'd like to have some joy in your life and escape, who doesn't right now that's probably hearing my voice, check it out. It's only here like 10 days or something, 2 weeks.
All right. So is it like just his origin story, kind of like a Jersey Boys?
They use a really cool element, Scott. It starts out with the present day Neil Diamond, who is sitting in his therapist's office.
Okay.
Going through
as we all should be.
Right. And
now.
And he's going through his life. And it's a great premise. It's a great way to tell the story. So you have a present day Neil Diamond and the old day Neil Diamond, who's the younger singer. And Nick Fadia, he's for you Idol fans, he won in season 15, I believe. I kept looking at him like, God,
I know you.
Nick Fradiani. He won 2015. He was the American Idol winner. Boy, does he nail Neil Diamond. He looks a little like John Stamos from where I was sitting. Of course, I have a cataract problem. But he sang wonderfully, and just the crowd loved it. People, there was a point where you could, obviously, Sweet Caroline. There's two versions at the end at the curtain call. Highly recommend if you're Neil Diamond, run, don't walk to go see this show. We need all the joy we can find right now.
I love Neil Diamond. I'm not going to lie.
What's not to love? I mean, those songs are great. The Monkees songs that he did. I'm a believer, or was it?
Yeah. I'm a believer. Then I saw your face. I'm a believer.
A bunch of songs. It's just really a fun show. And like I said, it's over at the Cadillac Palace. Go see it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. They Don't Bring Me Flowers. He did the Lord in the Nighttime. He did thank the Lord for the nighttime.
Yeah, all right. Good,
Sweet Caroline, Song Sung Blue, Solitary Man, Shiloh, September Morn, Red Red Wine, Love on the Rocks, Play Me, A Beautiful Noise, America, Brooklyn
Love
Roads,
on the Rocks,
Cherry, Cracklin' Rose, Forever in Blue Jeans, Hello Again, Holly, Holy, I'm a Believer, I Said. Anyway, they're all fantastic. And then
but I do have to say, I cannot listen to You Don't Bring Me Flowers. That I have a really visceral memory of that, because that song came out right when my parents were getting divorced.
Ooh.
And I was just hearing that song, and I remember,
so deep.
Like, I was a little kid, and that came on, and I remember my mom, I'm like, can we turn the station? And she's like, no. You need to, we're going to listen to this.
She needed to hear it, and
she needed to hear it.
And
she's like, I didn't want to hear it. She's like, no, we're listening to this. And kind of like, you got to deal with this sort of moment. But it's one of those songs I'm like, I can't listen to it.
That's like when I saw Judy Collins a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't the same kind of, but my mom used to love Send in the Clowns, and she ended her show with that. And
right.
I was just...
And that lady was singing behind you.
So last night, So last night we went and saw one of our favorite bands, Dawes. Taylor Kathy knows ours. Goldsmith. Goldsmith. Taylor Gold.
Oh, no.
Whatever
Sweetie.
his name is.
Sweetie.
Goldsmith.
Come on, Sweetie.
Taylor Goldsmith. And his brother Griffin are in the band. And I saw him 4 weeks ago because he's one of the Joni Jammers. And one of their new records, the new record that they're touring is called Oh Brother. There's a song about house parties and house parties and I don't know, something. And it talks about Joni in the song, and a few people went, woo, in the crowd. But there were two young women who really seemed to be into the band. They talked through the first act, and they could not stop talking to each other through the entire, and the people, we were like, they finally left for the encore, and the people in front were like, what the, why?
Why?
You know, even though we couldn't hear them loud, it's just when you see heads talking in front of you, it's so distracting because you keep telling yourself, when are you going to shut up? But Dawes is another great band. They're part of that LA scene that goes with Brandi Carlile that hangs out with Joni now. And Taylor Goldsmith was part.
Where were they?
They were at the Salt Shed.
I have not been to the Salt Shed.
That is a really...
Everyone loves that venue. Everyone loves that venue.
I mean, here's the thing. It's a lot of Goldsmith. I got it right. Thank you, honey. There's a lot of standing room. And then for us older people, there's these cushy, like theater kind of seats.
All right.
They're far back, but they're elevated with cup holders. And they're like a...
Do they have little ottomans? That would be great.
Don't have the ottoman. I would like the ottoman, but I thought that might be bad because people go, can you see? But I was thinking about it. But we sat in those, and it was packed. And local bands. Kathy gave me the lyric. Local bands.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, house parties and local bands, and Joni fans is one of them. But anyway, I'm finding my joy everywhere I can because when my mind goes to what's going on.
Yeah, you go a little kooky pants. Yeah.
And everybody is, everywhere we go. Like this morning, I was walking the dog, and one of my neighbors, he's a gay man. He lost his husband a couple of years ago. He lives on my street. And I go, how are you? He goes, how you doing, Jim? He's like, well, trying to get over it. There's no getting over it.
It's a lot.
One thing everybody, and I'm sure you're doing it too, and noticing people doing it, is the one common thread is people are really unplugging from the news. They're unplugging. Mm-hmm. I mean, you and I can't totally unplug, but we don't have to be immersed in a 24-hour cycle of having the new, CNN, MSNBC.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm certainly not doing that, but I do. If you have a phone and you have any news feeds, you're catching what's happening.
Well, I have zero notifications. Like, no, I do not turn them on. Like, those are all off. So any news that I get, I seek out. And like what I've been saying, it's really helpful to take a break. Especially if you are like news junkies, like maybe,
so many,
like maybe you and me.
Mm-hmm,
It's like you're realizing, like, and I've always done this, but like. A 24-hour news cycle, when you have it on all day, nothing changes.
No, it doesn't.
Nothing changes. It just say the same thing over and over again, and you just get madder and madder and madder. And yeah. So,
I agree, and I didn't have it on that much. Sometimes we watch David Muir's ABC News at 5:30, the network news, just to catch a little synopsis of what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, choose your news sources. Watch. Take your hour.
Take your hour. So you had a very special night last night. You were telling me about before we got on the air.
It was. I still can't believe this. It is my 30th.
Well, welcome to aging.
Reunion for Northwestern. It was homecoming this weekend.
They picked a bad weekend to do homecoming against Ohio State. But anyway.
Oh well, I don't care.
I know you don't care about that.
Did they? I guess Ohio State won.
Yeah.
Is that okay? But I knew they played at Wrigley Field.
That was cool.
It. I did not do the official stuff because I kind of got like my reunion walk around campus fill in the springtime when I went back for that improv show celebration. Mm-hmm. But last night, so when you are a theater major at Northwestern and you begin your acting journey with your acting class, you're with the same group of people the entire time. So you create kind of this ensemble, which is very, so important in Chicago theater, the ensemble ethic. And you realize, like everybody's there to tell a story, and you build trust and you build all this stuff to do some very, you're young and you're trying to do all these works. So I had people from my acting class, over last night for little like drinks and nibblies.
Now, were they in the area or are they flying in?
No, like we had people from New
over?
York, Massachusetts, from Boston, folks from LA. There were 2 local folks that were in town. It was just like about 8 or 9
Any
of us.
stars we might know?
No.
Just you.
No, just me being the celebrity that I am. But it was just so wonderful to see these people who really just shaped my life. Like they shaped my artistic life. They shaped who I am as a person. It's so, and it was just crazy just seeing these people that I have not seen in 30 years.
Wow, that's always,
you know,
did everybody look pretty good?
Everybody looked great.
30 is good. You'll notice at 40, there's a little bit of change.
Well, I mean, you know, I have one friend who's like, he's bald.
Yeah, I know.
You know, but
men can change more drastically.
It's true. Yes, it's very true. But then one of my friends, actually, we were roommates together after college. When we lived we were in the heart of Boys Town. We were right at Belmont and Halstead. We were on Halstead. My bedroom shared an alley with Spin.
Oh, yeah.
The nightclub Spin.
Spent a lot of nights at Spin.
I spent far too many nights at Spin. And also, like, that was also when I was working retail at the Gap on Michigan Ave, back when the Gap was like the thing back in the 90s. Like Gap was huge, and I was at that big flagship store on Michigan Avenue. But I had to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and there were some shenanigans that would take place in that alley. Yeah, and there were times I would be like, just raise up my window. I'm like, gays, go home.
Go home already. The sun is up.
Like, I'm home. You should be home. But we were roommates. She looks fabulous. She's gone to New York. She's started up her own dance theater company that's thriving right now. Like it's great, and seeing how everybody's kind of where their life is taken. Like, you know, one of my friends, she has been a sixth grade teacher for 28 years.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to ask, how many of them are still in the arts?
I mean, everybody still has like their artistic outlets and their feelings, but you know, there's stuff going in there. But you know, I think Amanda was the only one who she's got her own dance theater company, who's like really just kind of like still in it. I mean, it's great. Like a friend of mine, she had gone to Yale, part of the Yale School of Drama. She was on set for one thing, doing an episode, and she's like, what am I doing? And she just kind of retooled her life, and she's kind of like a life coach, and she has her own business now where she makes these bracelets. It's
nice.
Yeah, like it was really great just to kind of catch up with people. And
now, did you invite more that couldn't come, or is this everybody?
No, it was everybody meant to be a small group.
Okay,
yep, everybody
good.
came.
Beautiful.
And we had a beautiful spread. We spent the last 2 days cleaning our house.
Yeah, that's the one good thing. After everybody leaves, you're like, wow, our house is really
house
clean.
is amazing. So I know, and we're about to be invaded for Thanksgiving.
Oh, good.
As well. So like, okay, now here's the challenge: can we keep it clean? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
2 weeks. Good
Because
luck.
for two gay men, we sure do live like frat boys.
Kathy and I can have it clean 1 minute, and then like within 3 days, what happened?
Yeah,
a hurricane.
tornadoes. Like, what's going on through here?
Tornado,
yeah. But it was wonderful, and I still can't believe that it's been 30 years. You know, if you ask me like what was 30 years ago, I'm like, 1970. Yeah.
No.
Isn't it? No. Yeah. No, it was the 90s.
I know.
But in my
Seems
head,
like a long time ago.
it's so weird. So, but it was great just to really just reconnect, stroll down memory lane. I'm not a very what's the word? Sentimental. Thank you. I'm not a very sentimental person.
I am really overly sentimental.
Except I'm sentimental about weird things, like just random that I'm surprised at how I'm sentimental about. But it was great to kind of like stroll down memory lane and just remember fun things.
That's nothing better than being with people you care about, that you really cared about then, and that you still are connected with. You, even the years sometimes don't matter. You're like, I can't believe it's been this long. I feel like I just was next to you on stage working. And hanging out.
It was really great, and Jerry was amazing because he kind of was like, he played bartender, and he like let me have my experience. Like he was still participating, of course, you know, but he let me kind of just go and be and do and have a good time with everybody. So go you Northwestern. It was great. I'm very proud to be a Wildcat and very proud to know these people.
I had my cousin in town with his son. They went to a hockey game. He's a hockey kid in the traveling league, and his other son's like really smart. And I go, how about Northwestern? He goes, no, too hard to get into. It's really hard to get into.
Oh, well,
I know.
I'm so smart.
You should be lucky.
I'm so
you should be
smart.
proud, I should say.
I don't know how. I really don't.
You got in.
I did. I did it 30 years ago.
I think
34 years ago, actually, was when I started.
A lot of competition.
Oof, yeah. But it was
Something to be proud
great
of,
and
though.
wonderful. And yeah, so my mad love to my peeps and mad love to Jerry for just making the evening really, really wonderful and clean up. So easy. There we are.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does. That is the saying. That is the saying. We should probably take a break. We're just kind of flying past everything right now. But before we go, this part about Chicago is brought to you by Team Hochberg. If you are purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Meet Jordan, 60, with a score of 620, married to Bonnie, 59, with a score of 510. Combined annual income, 80 grand. Now, Bonnie's an in-home caregiver who couldn't work during COVID, which destroyed her credit and forced them to live off their credit cards. Oy. Jordan reluctantly called David after unsuccessfully trying to refinance multiple times with various lenders. Now, David helped Jordan refinance, pay off 30 grand of credit card debt, reduce their payment $1,500 a month, and created a plan to rebuild Bonnie's credit. Now, let's review. After Jordan and Bonnie were rejected by multiple lenders, David helped them to do cash out refinance, save 18 grand a year, and helped Bonnie revitalize her credit. So if you are suffocating, if your suffocating credit card debt is keeping you up all night or stressing you out, call David now for a complimentary mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, someone's been busy down at the Legion of Doom in Mar-a-Lago, just naming people. We're going to get into that.
Yes, dear leader.
So stick around. You're listening to Out in Chicago right here on WCPT.
I'm Jen Grosshandler.
And I'm Chazzy Grosshandler.
We're with the Gender Cool Project, and you're listening to
Out Chicago!
Woot!
Woot! There we go. Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller.
I do like my color with our backdrop here.
It
the
is.
color
It's
of the
very
shirt.
lovely.
It does,
It's like kind of like a
It works.
steely gray,
Yeah, it
but
works.
some blues going on in there.
Yeah.
It works.
I never wear this color. I always wear black. I was going to wear black every day for 4 years, but
Yeah, I've decided we need to do the other way around. We've got to
yes,
boom, like bright colors
make us feel better.
make us feel better, do some joy because y'all, it's not looking good.
All of our worst fears.
It's so again, this feels so very comical. If it wasn't so scary. Ding Dong is sitting down at Mar-a-Lago and he's just making cabinet choices really, really fast right now. And not with qualified candidates. No. But with the loyalist supporters. And it's it feels like it is the origin story of the Legion of Doom. The Legion of Doom, for people who might not know, was the group of supervillains who was the nemesis of the Super Friends, in the Hall of Justice. And they lived in a swamp, and they had this little thing that looked kind of like Darth Vader's head that they all lived in for some reason together.
I know the expression, we always use it, but I didn't know the origin story.
Yeah. So I was just giving some context because I realize a lot of people aren't nerds like me. And it's kind of like who's one-upping each other with how comically villainous they are. But it's terrifying.
It's terrifying. His first term, he was new in the role, and I think he did rely on the Chris Christies of the world and some of the Republicans that gave him ideas about who to put in these positions. And believe it or not, some of them, actually had qualifications, like generals, like people that had experience at the Pentagon or intelligence or, human health services. But this time around, everybody realized they have minds of their own.
Yeah.
They think for themselves, some of them.
They keep the Constitution in the forefront.
And they're not going to tell me what dear leader wants to hear.
Yeah.
So someone today on one of the shows said, Well, he was elected, and it's his right to be surrounded by people that he knows, that he's comfortable with. And I'm like cringing because you are putting you're just nominating the people that supported you or gave you money. That's who you're supporting. That's who you're putting in these roles.
This whole Elon Musk, like,
that is scary.
He's like, is he? Has anybody checked on JD Vance? It seems like he might have like taken him out, and he's now thinks that he's vice president or co-president, or Stephen King said,
co-president, first lady. It is, this guy who's got government contracts, who has,
not only government contracts, he is the world's richest man, and he deals with people all over the world. So he's talking to all of these other people, not just the government contracts. He's also dealing with like Russia and China and all, like, what?
And he got his crypto and everything. He got rich the day, he bought this presidency for his buddy. Twitter, he manipulated it. He controlled what was on there. He pumped tons of money in that, as I've talked about last week, this anti-trans ad that was horrible and full of lies ran 30,000 times in swing states. This is how you buy an election. This is when you have Citizens United, the kind of ruling that allows this unchecked money from corporations, from people like Elon Musk to come in and buy elections. This is where we are. As I said, my new mantra is the only one that can save us from Trump are the Republicans. Because guess what? It's all in their hands now.
Yep.
If they never grew a spine while they were, while he was still active, now he's the president. He won't be president again.
President-elect.
A president-elect.
He's not president yet.
President-elect. If they don't grow a spine now, God help us.
Oh.
And I'm not trusting that they will.
I'm not either.
But they are the ones that are going to be the ones that are going to stop him. Nobody else can, because he's got all three branches of our government, as we all know, are now the Trump branches of government.
Yeah. Ooh, that's
it's
chilling.
It's chilling and scary.
Yeah, it's very scary.
I mean, I almost drove off the road when Matt Gaetz was named as the attorney general candidate pick.
I mean,
I literally was driving. I literally almost drove off the road.
McForehead is going for attorney general. Like, here's the
pedophile. Where do we start?
Where do we start with the list that's going on? But the thing that's really disconcerting, that actually my hour of news that I choose is Rachel Maddow. I think she's very
What's
informed.
Rachel saying these days?
But she was, before this was happening, she was talking about, like, hey, this is really, really weird. Just everybody let you know, like, the Republicans control the Senate. They're probably going to control the House. This was last week.
Yeah.
She's like, and already Ding Dong is asking them to lead, like, let the Senate go
recess appointments,
so that everything that
you just push it on
through.
No check, no balance.
What's so weird is the fact that, like, more than likely they would still do that. Like, they have the majority. So more than likely they would say, like, go on ahead, do that. But the fact that he is asking them to be on recess while they're doing this is even scarier, because I'm sure Susan Collins is like, she's very concerned. She's gravely concerned. Or what? There's some people that I think they're 4, maybe moderate Republicans, people who believed in the old GOP.
Well, hopefully there's a couple more than that, but not many.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, there aren't many in there. So the part of, like, anybody to kind of get rid of any sort of possibility that people would challenge these things, he's asking them to go on recess, and that is weird. That's weird. It's weird, and it's scary.
Well, he knows now that he can get away with any damn thing he wants. Anything. He's made it through impeachments. He's made it through felonious, charges. I mean, he's going to make it through all of it. What's to stop him? Why would he think that there's ever any repercussions or any retribution for him to pay? Nothing. He's been held accountable, 0. And the American people elected him again.
Yeah, because they're dumb.
They're dumb.
They're dumb.
Remember, white men and less educated white women. That's who we have to thank for this. And the majority of Hispanic men. Other than that, black women, educated white women, black men, majority of, not all, voted for Kamala. But it's the lesser educated white women and the majority of and the majority of white men, both educated and not as educated.
Yeah, and as long as we're talking about education, I have friends who are in higher education who have some high level positions, and everybody's freaked out. Everybody is freaked out because of. Because of federal funding,
that's where it comes from.
And they are talking about hopefully everybody has kind of realized that when he said he has no idea what Project 2025 is, then he doesn't even know about it.
He lies.
That's a lie. As Governor Walz said, if you take the time to write a playbook, you are going to use the playbook. That's the thing. And all these people are like, but he said he disavowed it. He said he didn't know it.
No, but everybody he's appointing does, and they will do it. How about that?
Well, he
knows.
He knows about it. But the thing that going in and taking over the Department of Education, getting rid of it, again, it goes back to keeping Americans stupid. It's keeping America's dumb.
They showed how stupid so many of them are. Now they're regretting some of them, I heard, or they're looking up what is a tariff and what is a fascist. They also, a stat that came out, the majority of his people they were the ones less involved in politics. They were less informed, and they were not. Every time I saw Trump speak and listen, we're all watching, all of us, right? Those of us that we want to be informed. I kept thinking, I bet you none of them are watching. I bet few of them are watching. We know more about what he's saying than they know. Yet they're going to vote for him. But the fact that he wasn't.
He was swaying to music for 40 minutes.
That he was up there for 30 minutes singing with what's her name, Kristi Noem. If they had watched this, would they really think he was fit? But no, they just didn't want to see it. They just wanted to vote for the man. And again, I go back to it. You can talk about the soul searching and all the mistakes, quote unquote, that the Democratic Party made. The number one problem, in my opinion, in this country with white men and lesser educated white women and Hispanic men who voted for Trump is they are not ready for a woman president, particularly one of color. Bottom line, we live in a racist, misogynist, sexist country. We act like we're the greatest country in the world, yet we are, we had two great qualified women candidates and they chose him over Hillary and Kamala. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And there's people hurting, and we just have to take care of each other right now.
Oh yeah,
because this hurt's going to go on for a long time. It's not.
Oh yeah.
It's not like this is. I'm just trying to live in a fantasy world over the holidays as best I can.
Yeah, I mean,
just not think about it.
I don't want to get all doomsday, kind of, looking at that. But again, these people, you're like, are you kidding me? You got Matt Gaetz, you got Rapey McForehead for AG, was under an ethics.
Yeah, that was supposed to come out Friday, but he resigned on Wednesday night. So.
Yeah. So and you got Mike Johnson oh no.
Oh yeah, we don't need to look at that.
That's he's no longer part. It's just not a problem.
Yeah. Of all the departments too, ironically, he's under investigation but yet he's going to head that up. I mean, we're living in the upside down. There's no question about it.
Yeah. I mean, who else? You got Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh my God, Russian asset,
director of national intelligence. It's like, wait, what?
And then let's talk about RFK Jr.
Oh,
that's a huge department, and he just has a lot of theories, and he's going to be. No health background whatsoever. Not a doctor.
So there are. Yes, he is not a doctor. He has a brain worm that ate part of his brain.
Yes, he hit a bear and threw it in the park and made up a story. He's very reliable. Very.
The people that support him. I did a movie there was somebody who was in Scrooge and Marley who has become a very big RFK supporter.
A lot of very left people, guys, men mainly, I noticed.
He became a very big RFK supporter, and he's like, oh, I believe everything. He's like, I'm going to give Trump, I'm Trump curious now, and he's going to make America healthy again. And this man... First of all, this man has been He has a long history of embracing conspiracy theories. And just a reminder, his own family, his famously loyal family, like the Kennedys, they stick together. His family has publicly denounced him on several occasions.
Yes.
They're like, I don't know. No.
People that know him best.
Yes. And it's so weird. Okay, here's some of the little conspiracy theories that he's buying into that also help feeding into this whole Project 2025 stuff, that the environment turns children transgender. What? And also frogs gay. The water will do that.
It's in the water.
Vaccines cause autism. They don't. And my favorite is that HIV does not cause AIDS.
Oh my God! I know. This is who's going to head up the health.
Yeah, this is
Human
the
Services
guy.
Department.
This is the guy.
This is the guy who's being nominated. I don't know. Let's see if they grow a spine. It's up to them. You know what? They have no excuses. The Republican Party has no. They're controlling everything.
Yeah.
If it's in their hands, okay. You want these people to lead the country? Good luck. Mm-hmm. And you were always worried about the retribution that Trump was going to, bring on you earlier when you were running for. Well, think about the retribution you're going to have from the world and the country if this all goes south.
The world is in a panic mode right now, like everybody else, in this country. But they're like, what did you do? What did you do? Yeah. Like he's
I know. I mean, preservatives in foods. I have to tell you, I read every ingredient. I try not to buy anything with a preservative in it.
All right.
There's always a little something that's, So I like the fact that he wants to take,
Yeah,
but that doesn't make him qualified to run the entire department because he's got one or two good ideas. Because the rest of his ideas are conspiracy
Let's talk about Michelle Obama, who received so much
hate and flack and blowback
for growing vegetables at the White House, trying to get America to eat healthy, to exercise.
She's a black woman, but this white dude. So many white guys were in RFK, young. I ran into him.
Oh yeah,
it was mainly men. He really appealed for some reason to the 25 to 45-year-old white male.
It's because he's jacked. Look, say what you want, RFK Jr. He's a chiseled man,
and his father was one of my idols growing up. Bobby.
Yep, and
really was.
Again. His family has disavowed him. They have publicly denounced
say more
him.
About that, yeah, that says it all.
And even Trump's family has denounced him. You've got Mary Trump, who's like, I don't get it.
All we can do is pop the popcorn and keep fighting, but there's a lot that's out of our control right now in the next few months. We'll just have to see what the Senate does with these nominations. I'm sorry, I skipped over Pete Hegseth. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, he's special too. Another one that had some sort of assault allegations that came out.
Oh, what's Mike Huckabee doing? He's going to be
he's the ambassador to Israel.
To Israel, yes.
Yeah.
Who has preached that Jews have killed Jesus. All these people who voted for, didn't vote for Kamala Harris because of the war with Hamas. Palestine's not going to exist.
Good luck with that. I ran into a kid. I know we're running late, but I ran into a young man, and I was walking. We just ended up getting into a political discussion, and he said, but I didn't really like Kamala either because our position on fracking. She was for fracking, then she wasn't. She could go back to it, and she didn't disavow the fact that so much money was going to Israel that was fight. I said, you're pointing out what? Guess what? First of all, nobody's perfect. Second of all, rocking a hard place on Palestine and Israel. Fracking, she's entitled to change her mind. We as liberals and Democrats are ready to rip apart our candidates for one or two things that aren't right. But God forbid the Republicans, when this guy has got a stack that's 1,000 miles high of wrong. Yet, and I pointed out, and he's like, Yeah, I guess you're right there. You know, he voted for her, I think. But this is what some people were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're overly thinking, well, you know, I don't really like her because of her fracking and her position on Palestine. Yet you're willing to let him have the role of the most powerful person in the world? Come on, Dems. Let's get over ourselves a little bit here. Let's not be so precious.
Yeah.
Let's
yeah.
not, okay?
Well, oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
all right.
So
Am I angry? Yes, I'm at the
how
angry.
Are you doing there?
I'm in the angry
You're at the
stage
angry
today.
And how are you doing out there?
Hey, give us a call.
Give us a call. We got to take a break, but yeah, there's good. My brain is oozing out of my ears.
I know.
Because it just does not make sense. So I'm going to try to shove that brain back into my ears
Shove
during
it in
this
there.
little commercial break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal. And welcome back to Out Chicago with all these big sounds that are happening right now. There's a little thing go. There we go.
They wanted to get in on our show because they heard how good it is right now. They just wanted to bust right in here and be part of Out Chicago.
Yeah.
Sorry, wait your turn, pal.
Yeah. Wow. Everybody wants to chime in. How are you doing? I'm not doing well. I am not doing well. And people, I know people are not doing well out there. You can feel it.
Yeah.
I work in a place where I'm dealing with the public. And this is one thing that I hate about me. I've started to see who voted for him. Like in my mind, I just sit there and go like,
I do the same thing.
he voted for him. Like I'm driving Jerry crazy. Somebody cuts me off in traffic, they voted for me. Somebody's driving slowly, they voted for him.
I've done.
I do it all day long, and it's not good.
Maybe not quite as much as that, but I my mind is like this gal in the locker room when we were talking weeks ago about the election. She didn't say anything, and usually people like to chime in.
Yeah,
and I see her there, and I'm like,
I
know she voted for Trump.
You voted for Trump. Yeah.
That's where our minds are going. You know.
Yeah, I've decided that any gal who's wearing like a puffy vest that has like those big kind of prairie sleeves that go up on top, like that puff up over here, they voted for Trump.
Okay,
that's like
right.
that's what I've decided. I mean, it's awful. Like I literally just kind of go.
If you're listening and you wear that and you're not voting for Trump, let
Please
us
call
know.
and let me know.
Give us a call
because that's unfair.
Let's see if we're correct on that.
Yeah,
or not.
but it's like, it's really bad. Like people are tense, and I feel that some people are becoming a little bit more emboldened. I think we're going to see a lot. The Trump supporters are going to become. I saw somebody walking around my neighborhood wearing a big old MAGA hat. You know, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. So like that is.
And all this talk about moving to Canada, and you know, it's not that easy. You know, why do you think people stay where they are, even when you say, how could you live in your country when you're going through this regime that is so horrible? Because it's your country, because it's your family, because it's your friends. It's not easy to just get up. First of all, they don't want you in Canada. Guess what? Unless you have some, you know, real reason, like you're married to a Canadian or you're, I don't know what. But it's not easy to leave, number one. And number two, people generally talk about it, but they really don't want to just get up and leave. I mean,
I have friends who they are making a plan. I've got two sets of friends who are like, okay, I know one, they've got a place in France that they are applying for dual citizenship, and I know somebody else who has been making plans to, as soon like the day after she called, it's like we're moving.
I mean, I get it, but here's my thing on it. If at the end of 4 years, it's taking on, and this is where our country is going, and this is a dictatorship and oligarchy. If this is what I'm really seeing happening at the end of 4 years, like instead of people like revolting and saying, "Oh my God, what did we do? We need a big change," which is obviously what we're hoping for. But if for some reason we can't do that because they've controlled so much that we don't even have a fair election, for example, the next time around.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I will consider a plan.
Well,
An escape plan.
what I'm worried about too is just finances. It's financial, the finances.
I know.
That's what I'm really.
We have those of us that have Social Security that we're looking forward to.
Bye-bye.
Medicare.
Bye-bye.
I have a pension, whatever you might have. I'm worried about that too.
Yeah.
I'm worried about all of it. Aren't we joy?
I'm sorry,
happy
I know.
today? We will be. The next few, the segments after this are going to be just all about happy things.
They're going to be much, much happier.
But we have to talk about what people are thinking about, and we can't put our heads in the sand. And this is real. And if you want to talk to us, give us a call.
I know. Well, let's go to the phones, actually. Let's talk to Rich. Rich, welcome. You're on Out Chicago.
Hi there, guys. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are
hanging
you?
in there, Rich.
I don't mean to. I'm sorry?
I said we're just hanging in there, as you can tell.
Yeah, no kidding. And I don't mean to make your day worse. Trump doesn't need the Senate. He could do all this stuff by just making them all acting positions. He did that right before he was leaving. And, because he's above the law now, he can make them stay forever.
Yep.
So,
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, he knows how to.
that the Senate grows a spine, but so far evidence doesn't seem to show that.
No,
Yeah.
a couple senators say they're not thrilled with a couple of the picks, but we will see when they say that, and then when it comes down to it, you're right,
They
Rich.
vote. They
cave
in line.
every
they
single
fall
time.
In line.
Yeah, Trump wants to just burn this country down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been mean to him.
yeah. He's a very dangerous personality disorder person running our country. So,
Yeah.
And don't expect him to leave after 4 years.
well, that's the
He's
other.
still alive.
Oh, he hinted last week. I don't know. Maybe I'll do so good you'll figure out a way for me to stay. Did anybody hear that little comment that came out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Supreme Court will find a way if they want to.
Well, yay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rich.
Hang in there, Rich.
Hang in there, Rich. Don't let go.
Stick together. We'll handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like the day after, like, this is what's going to happen for what, 18 years? Yep.
And those of us that are at a certain age, like I'm in my 60s, it's like you're looking at diminishing returns here. It's not like I'm 30 and, okay, you got 20 good years of, your health is probably going to be decent. You're going to be good. I mean, luckily I'm in good shape now, but I'm like, as I'm aging here, I want to live my best life, not my most insane life,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, let's go back to the
trying.
phones. Steve, welcome. You're on Out Chicago.
Yes, and I think you raised a couple of interesting points I wanted to touch on. One, Houston's about to pass Chicago as far as being the third largest city in America. But I think it says a great deal about, the difference between a place like Houston and Texas versus Chicago and Illinois. I mean, you went to Northwestern. I'm a Northwestern grad myself. I did my graduate work there. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that Houston doesn't have a top 25 school, where the Chicagoland area has two schools that are regularly in the top 10 universities in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it says a great deal about, what ideologies foster what sorts of outcomes. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I just thought I'd add that. And then also, it is true that we should be careful about some of the radical proposals that are out there. But quite frankly, if they tried to touch Medicare or Social Security, you couldn't charter enough buses to get the elderly out to vote against them in the next election.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is what's called political. It's called political overreach. You're elected, and then all of a sudden, in your mind, you have the idea that everything I ever said in any speech is what Americans want. No, they elected you on a couple of issues, not the least of which was things like inflation. And your policy is because, as you pointed out, the American voter was not terribly well informed. Oh. They never have been. And you're advocating policies that are going to drive up inflation. Mm-hmm. People unloaded their bonds the Wednesday after we knew who was going to be the president. The reason for that is that people are anticipating that inflation is going to skyrocket again because of Trump's policies. So, like I said, let's give them enough rope. They're going to hang themselves. Yeah. Because again,
but they're going to hang us with them. That's the only thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We have a tough year and a half ahead of us. That's absolutely true. But at the same time, they're going to engage in political overreach. And then all we have to do is, it's not as if we lost the election. They won because a lot of Democrats who voted in 2020 decided to sit this one out. Well, we can get them back because they've already demonstrated that they're willing to vote. Now we just need them to turn out again. But again, a couple of years of hardship ahead of us.
You said it, brother. You said
Hang
it.
in
Thanks
there,
so much
Steve.
for calling,
Thanks
Steve.
for calling, Steve.
Yeah. Oh, well, there we are. But I guess the only thing that I can say to all of that is that the sun will come out tomorrow.
Yes, it will.
Will
Hopefully.
it?
Or the next day.
Or the next day, or in the next year and a half.
Year and a half or two.
Anyway, we're gonna take a break. We're switching gears. We're gonna be so optimistic and so happy that you just don't even know what you're gonna to do with yourself. So go get a cup of coffee, and we'll see you on the other side of this break. So stick around. There's more Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
And welcome back to the second hour of Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller. Rolling along. My brain has oozed, and I have shoved it right back into my head.
Good. We need you to do that.
Yes.
For part 2 of our show.
Yes, for the joyful
Second hour.
hour. The
The
joyful
joyful
hour.
hour. It's the joyful
joyful hour. That's what we're doing. A little bit later on in the show, we are going to be speaking with Chicago's very own Juan Gutierrez. He is a pastry chef, and he's a part of the new competition series on Food Network called Harry Potter Wizards of Baking. I cannot wait to, because you know I love me a cookie competition show.
I do too. You both of us do.
I know. We love that. We love that. So hopefully we can pick his ideas, his little brain too, for some Thanksgiving
Some Thanksgiving
stuff.
ideas since we're hosting.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we're both
yeah.
hosting. So yeah.
Yeah. But in the meantime, I just got to say, in these wackadoodle times, we've got to look for hope and optimism wherever we can find
Yes,
it.
we
And
do.
leaping lizards, I can't think of anything more optimistic than Annie, the Tony Award-winning musical that is now playing at the Chicago Theater through December 1st. And joining us now is the director of Annie, Jenn Thompson. Jenn, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my
course.
goodness. Thank you so much for coming on. I cannot tell you, I have a very long and strange relationship with Annie. It was
I love that.
very first show I had ever seen as a kid.
Oh.
I was like 6 years old. I went to the American Theater in St. Louis, Missouri. My mom took me, and I was floored because there were kids up there, and they were doing everything. And there was an orphan named Duffy. Hello.
That's right.
Hello. And I wanted to be Annie so badly. Like, I told my mom, like, I will wear a dress so I could be Annie. I got the record. I did
That's when she knew.
all the choreography in my bedroom. I love Annie. Sorry, I talked a lot there, Jen.
He loves
I love
Annie.
That. I'm smiling from ear to ear. I love that. I love that story. And, that's a story that a lot of people have. It's a lot of people's first experience at the theater. And, I also have a long history and
You
love
were
affair
in
with
it!
Annie myself. Yes, I was. And I wanted to be Annie, too. And I still want to be Annie. I was Pepper.
You were
which is-
Pepper.
which is a good part that I loved playing, but I think everybody wants to be Annie. And half of the best part about this job is that I get to kind of pretend to be Annie sometimes while I'm helping other people to it.
No, but see, I also wanted to be Pepper, too, because Pepper.
Oh, Pepper's cool.
Pepper's
cool,
really
man.
cool.
Yeah, Pepper.
She's a tough
Pepper's
cookie.
badass.
She is a
She's
total badass.
And in this version, I have to tell you, the young woman playing it in this version is, she's tough. She's a little scary.
All righty,
Yeah.
all right. So, Jen,
She's bringing it.
so you started out your career in the theater, was it at 10 years old, or was it before then?
I started before then. I come from a theater family. My parents are both actors. My brother is an actor. So, I basically just joined the circus. That was what was always around me. It was my idea. My parents were kind of not just not stage parents, but sort of almost anti-stage parents, but they were in the business. And, I was basically like, if you can't beat them, join them. So I started younger. I started at 7, and then I went into Annie at 10. So I was already like kind of 3 years in by the time
you were
I got that
seasoned
job.
pro.
But, at the time, I was. But at the time, Annie was like, it was a complete phenomenon.
Yeah.
I try to liken it when I'm talking to our young cast today. I try to liken it to something like Hamilton, so they can relate to it. It really was like just this mega hit.
Yeah.
And so that job at the time was like the greatest job ever to get as a young kid and female, a little girl. Best job you could get. And to this day, probably the best job I've ever had, honestly, pound for pound.
Jenn, what lesson do you take from being a little girl in a Broadway show to these kids you're working with today? What, from your insight, of being one of those kids on stage? What?
Oh, gosh, just so much. It's so personal for me. I love working with kids, and I've gotten the opportunity to work with kids a lot in my adult directing career. And obviously, having been one, I have a lot of very strong opinions about how they should be treated. I have very high standards. I hold them to a very high standard. I treat them like professionals because they are professionals, and seek their opinion because, nobody, I think the old trope is, adults sort of imposing behavior on children, right? And what's so interesting and fascinating about working with kids is that, they know a lot better how kids behave than we do as adults. So it's really to empower them and hold them to a high standard, but also really deeply invite them into the process. I learned so much from them every time out. And, they light up a company. They come with just boundless energy, enthusiasm. They only, it's funny when you work with people that haven't worked with kids and they're concerned about, like, will they be able to retain this? Will they be able to repeat this? Won't they get tired? And I'm like, no, none of those things apply. They'll want to do it over and over and over again. And not only will they know all their stuff, they'll know everybody else's stuff too. They'll know everybody's life.
And they don't have they don't have baggage, so to speak, either.
They don't. That's especially when kids are there for the right reasons. When kids are there of their own volition and their own passion and their own talent, and they are driven by that, there is no purer form. And that's why we're so, what's so compelling about watching kids on stage or kids in film also, like when it comes from that right source, that place, and they're not there for other reasons, then you can't not be completely enveloped and won over by it. It is just it's purer, right? It's just pure.
Yeah. Beautiful thing. Well, thank you.
Yeah. I know. It's so funny because like W.C. Fields said, don't ever work with kids or animals. You got both. Going on.
Yeah, it's funny, and I know the take on that is always because he didn't like either, but I think it's because you're upstaged by them, right?
Indeed,
because when there's kids and dogs on stage,
good luck.
You're not looking at anything else.
Yeah.
I think that's really where that came from. I don't know that W.C. Fields was a great, child actor fan, but I think that holds because the truth is that is, like that dog comes out at the end. Our beautiful Kevin comes and takes his bow. The place goes berserk.
Of course.
Berserk.
Well, yeah. Well,
As
that's
they should.
I remember like in my theatrical training, because I am celebrating my 30th reunion of my theatrical training. There we are.
Yes.
But I remember the only real thing on stage are kisses and dogs. Like kisses and animals,
I love that.
because an animal's gonna be an animal, and like if you're kissing somebody, that's actually real, But everything else is just stage magic, and make believe. Then
if you kiss a dog, it's extra.
I know.
Right?
Look out! I know. It's like we're mind blown.
Dog kisses are another level.
So, Jenn Thompson, you directed Annie, that is now playing at the Chicago Theater. What is it about the show Annie that is just so darn appealing to people?
Well, I think you hit nail on the head by, first of all, I think most people have some kind of relationship to this show, and for lots of people it's their first show, and like first love, you never forget your first show, right? It's the gateway to into that world. So I think that's a big part of it. In terms of like the material itself, it is so well written. It is so beautifully constructed. It is evergreen. You know, it's not so many of those sort of golden age musicals or even like post that time. You know, they don't age as well. It's harder. You have to kind of tinker and finagle and or you know, like, let's ignore that part, you know, but there is none of that in this show. It has really stayed evergreen that way. And I think also, you know, I mean, obviously what everybody says is, you know, hits on the optimism and the hope. My feeling about that, and what I think sets Annie apart as a character from a lot of other characters that kind of have the brand of optimism on them, is that for her it's a survival technique. It's a choice.
Yeah.
You know, we're watching somebody that is under, you know, sort of raised under very extreme circumstances, you know, parentless, poor, all of those things, and is choosing the bright side, you know, not because she's born with some plucky, you know, great attitude. It's a choice, and that's what's infectious, and that's the message, which is like, yeah, there's always something to be devastated over, and we have the ability as human beings to connect with each other and lift each other up, and if you do that, you'll be happier for it. It works. That actually works.
I love that. I love that explanation, because it really is like what we've been trying to talk about. We didn't do a very good job during the first hour, but we're like, you have to. Joy is a practice. Yeah. Joy is. I love that. That's exactly right. And she's an incredible practitioner of it. Yeah. And you see her, you know, whenever Annie is at her lowest, she tries to take care of somebody else. Yeah. That's a big part of that story. You know, she's out on those streets, you know, it's getting dark, she hasn't eaten, she finds that dog, and she makes that dog feel better, and by making that dog feel better, she makes herself feel better. That's kind of what you see her working that all the way through the show, and it's done in a really beautifully written way, and it's subtle, it's not message heavy, there's no finger wagging in this show. It is wrapped in this incredibly well-structured, entertaining, beautiful show with its heart in the complete right place.
There's a reason this show has endured as many decades as it has. It's a story that people continually want to hear.
Sometimes it can be, you know, interpreted in a way that feels, I think, a little saccharine or a little sentimental, or, you know, I'm always telling the company, you know, the dark has to exist with the light. Otherwise, you don't earn those beautiful moments. You don't earn Sandy showing up in that big Christmas present at the end of the show. You've got, you know, it's got to have the contrast of the dark, and you know, it's why they set it in the Depression and, you know, December of 1933, one of the lowest moments this country has had. And there's a lot of grit in the show. There are dark elements, and I think that's also what satisfies adult audiences as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the score is just talk about like the catchiest songs.
Who wrote the score for Annie?
Charles Strauss.
Okay.
Sorry.
He wrote the music. Well, he wrote the music, and Martin Charnin, who's really the creator of the whole thing. He was the original director and the lyricist, but it was really all generated from his idea. So to do a musical about this character. So he wrote the lyrics, which are also very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it pretty much is like a perfect little show. Yeah. As you were saying, it really is an evergreen kind of moment. When you were working with these younger actors, again, theater kids always amaze me. Just because, as you were saying earlier, because they are so energetic, so much enthusiasm, and like professional, and they will learn the entire show. You know, did you have any challenges, you know, working with them to really understand these kind of lofty ideas that you've been explaining in terms of this is all a choice to be optimistic. This is a choice to be joyful. Like, how was that process?
I can tell you, I had zero problems. Zero. That this group of young women are so smart and so fierce. And they, you know, I mean, look, the challenge for me in rehearsing young people is, well, first of all, not to curse, which is a challenge for me as a human.
Right.
So I have to kind of watch my language.
And here on the radio, yeah.
Exactly. So you guys know a little bit about that, but also sometimes I have to explain, the $10 word I've chosen to use occasionally, or I'll ask them, do you understand what this word means, what I'm saying? And they're very honest and say, no, not really. And it's my job to, explain it to them, to whatever I'm talking about. But they're so smart, and the story, the story has reached for young people because young people can relate to it. It's not robot kids singing and dancing and just, bringing the cheese. Like they can absolutely relate to it. And obviously it's my job not to just for young, for kids, but for a young company, to give it a historical perspective, to talk about where we were in 1933 as a country, and to talk about where we were in the 70s when this show was written, and its response to that, and that conversation between those two eras. I mean, all of that is just my responsibility for any company to sort of load that up for them and fill in those blanks. And then they do their thing. Did
they have any knowledge of, just out of curiosity, like of the Great Depression? Did kids even of this age even know about it?
It depends, I mean, this company, these kids are like 10 to 12.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some of them have, some understanding of that. But, what's so great, because they all go to school together. They do everything together, these kids. They go to school together, they rehearse together, they travel together, they do the show together. Mm-hmm. And lots of times we will tie it in with their tutor so that they are learning in school about what we are practicing, on stage, what we're doing on stage or in the rehearsal, so that we have a dialogue with their teachers and their parents. So that's being sort of reiterated and reinforced.
Oh, that's great.
Because it's a great opportunity, and I also think it's a great opportunity for young people in the audience to go and find out about this time, especially right now, right? To see how we have come through, really, really, really dark moments in this country, and been made better for it, but these kids have to understand the historical context. Annie travels to the White House and basically creates the New Deal in this. Yeah. So, there's a lot of politics in this show that way, and a lot of history. But again, I think done so beautifully that it doesn't feel message heavy, doesn't feel, doesn't get in the way of.
Yeah, there's no agenda other than just being kind, and being optimistic.
That's right.
Telling the story.
Well, and it really is also about finding consensus.
Yeah.
I mean, it is about that. It's about community, and that big part of the show is Warbucks and Roosevelt getting together and sort of pooling their resources and creating a better America.
Important message right now, more than ever. Yep.
100%. And remember that you are never fully dressed without a smile. And if you want to put a big old smile on your face, make sure you head to the Chicago Theater for the Tony Award-winning show Annie that runs through December 1st. For tickets, you can go to chicagotheater.com/Annie, and that's theater with an R-E because it's fancy that way. Jenn Thompson, thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations. I know the show just opened. Here's to a very, very successful run and tour for it. Jenn Thompson.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. I hope you get to see it.
Oh, I'm already crying just thinking about it because I can't wait to get a new deal for Christmas. I'm never fully dressed without a smile. I want to thank you, Mr. Hoover. Anyway, but right now I'm just living a hard knock life. So there we are.
Get over there. I love it.
All right. Well,
thanks,
Jenn Thompson, thank you so much. Leaping Lizards, have a great run.
Happy Sunday.
Same to you.
Thank you.
We've got to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to be chatting with pastry chef Juan Gutierrez about the new Food Network show, Harry Potter and the Wizards of Baking. So stick around. You're listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT.
This is William Lindsay Cochran from the group Great Moments in Vinyl. You're listening to Out Chicago on WCPT.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ella Miller, rolling along.
I'm about to get really hungry.
I know.
I left my snack on the counter.
Yeah, if you know, oh, you did. Oh no.
Yeah, but it's okay. I'll get
Oh
by.
no.
I know.
Oh gosh. Well, because if you listen to this show, you know that we love food. We love foodies. We love to cook it. We love to eat it. We love to talk about it. And I'm so excited because this week, Food Network premiered its new competition series, Harry Potter: Wizards of Baking, and it blends legendary storytelling and fantastical edible creations in a never-before-seen competition that will have you at the edge of your seat. And joining us now is one of the magical chef testants, Chicago's very own Juan Gutierrez. Juan, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for all your beautiful creations that you make. Just right off the bat, what got you into? Were you always like a pastries guy or in baking, or did you enter through just like into the culinary world via the savory route and then switched over? What got you start?
Well, it actually is gonna be funny because I was going to be a doctor.
What?
I was going to be a plastic surgeon, to be exact, and I went to medical school, and then after the first semesters I was like, this is not really what my dream is. And that's when I decided to really just break the rules of the Colombian traditions and then follow my dreams to become a chef.
Wow. Well, your precision has come through in your pastry chefing.
Thank you.
So what was your first job as a chef?
My first job? Oh, wow. I was 16, and it was in Isla Morada in the Florida Keys. I used to work at this really cool hotel called Chica Lodge, and I was a pastry cook there, and it was so fun. So much work, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can only imagine. That is the one thing that keeps me from entering into any sort of the culinary world like that. It's so much work, and it is really, really hard.
Yes, it's a lot.
So
I will say that it's a career passion.
Of course. How did you get chosen for the show?
I started casting. I was found online through my Instagram, and I was asked if I was interested in casting for this new show coming up, and it was about Harry Potter. And then I was like, do not have to tell me anything else. I am in.
So you're a huge, long-time Harry Potter fan.
Huge. I feel like Harry Potter has been through my whole life since I was a little kid. And I feel like it also has shaped me to the person that I am because I grew up with their characters, the way that they develop, the way that they grow up, the way that they express themselves. And that's why I also have kind of like learned a little bit about myself, being this weird guy from Colombia and watching this movie about these magical creatures and magical people. I was like, I wanted to be like them.
Of course. I mean, yeah, who wouldn't?
Perfect. You were perfect for this.
Yeah, but you are also no stranger to competition shows because you won School of Chocolate on Netflix?
Correct. Yes, I did School of Chocolate, and then I was the winner. And I also did Food Network Chop, the sweet series, the sweet side, and I also won that one.
Well,
sorry, humble brag right there.
So
what is it about? But what is it about competition shows that you're like I gotta do that? Like there's just something in you that fuels the fire.
You know, it's such a nice question because as a pastry chef, as a chef, when you get into your day-to-day basics jobs, you really don't have the time or the energy to do all of this.
Right.
So and then it kind of like brings that like, can I really do that? I see these people doing this, but I don't do it. I don't know if I'm capable. And that's what I love doing these shows because there is no no as an answer. Mm-hmm. You have to do it. And then when I do it, it kind of like clicks and brings this part of me that also shows me that I'm also able to create. So it's a way of pushing myself to be better and better. And I just love that because I'm learning as I go. and just showing myself that I can do that and bringing my confidence and building me to be the chef that I want to be.
I mean, it's pushing you like you could never push yourself otherwise, to be in this kind of a competition.
Yep.
I did watch the first episode last night, and I saw, tell me what it felt like when you came onto that set and you walked through that door and there's that smoke, and how did that feel for you?
It was just, there was no words to express that. The fact that you're in front of the twins, let's just talk about that. I mean, like I said, for such a big Harry Potter fan, just to be in the set with them and in the set of the Harry Potter world, in a way, I kind of like feel that I'm now part of that world as well, that magical world. So for me, it was just like, am I really here? I'm like looking around, and I was just like a little kid, just like clapping my hands, just being excited.
Yeah, I mean,
I
would have a very hard time focusing. It's like, oh my God, we've got the twins are here, and there's Carla Hall over there, and all of these like people from the Harry Potter world are going to be making appearances throughout. Not going to give it any spoilers, but like, did you find? I mean, clearly, like once the clock starts, you just got to go. But did you have a moment of just kind of being like, it's the Weasleys. The Weasleys are over there.
Yes. So. As nature, I'm really like get distracted pretty easy. That's just how I am. So,
I can relate, Juan. Yeah.
It was really nice to have Elizabeth to kind of be like, "Hey, focus,"
right?
Because I would be like, "Oh, there's a rhinestone."
So Elizabeth.
Also, we also have like this like head on the game, and we were just there just to really like take advantage of this opportunity, and we were just really. We want to just do the best as we can. We went on the first episode. We were like, let's do this. Let's just don't be scared of anything. Let's just show what we can do. And let's just bring our limits to the max.
So Elizabeth is, first of all, amazing also.
Oh, my gosh.
What she creates, I've never seen anything like it. That horse head, just phenomenal. How did you know her at all before this, and how is your relationship now? I'm sure you've made a great friend because you guys are.
Yeah, we did know each other. I of course knew who she was. And I remember when we were doing the casting, I met her through the casting, and I just remember that we were leaving, and I just passed next to her. At that point, we didn't know that we were going to be paired.
Oh. So
I just passed next to her, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I'm just a huge fan of yours." And I just left. I ran.
So for folks who might not have seen the first episode that premiered on Food Network this week of the Harry Potter Wizards of Baking, can you explain to our listeners how the show works?
Of course. So this is a show based on Harry Potter world. So the first episode that we have to create a piece based on our connection to Harry Potter, the connection of me and Elizabeth together. So I don't want to say spoilers because I know there's a lot of people that haven't seen it yet. Right. But I definitely recommend for you to watch it because it's such a fun episode. I know it went really fast because they're trying to just show all the new cast, but trust me, it's just gonna get better and better as it goes.
Yeah, well, and you are paired with people. That's what I'm getting at.
So a cake person and a more of a confection type person, right?
Yeah, and that's what it was so cool, and we will laugh all the time because it's a cake artist paired with a pastry chef, a chocolatier. In my way of thinking, we're all our pastry chefs. I would just say that each one has a more of a specific
specialty
thing that they a specialty. Elizabeth is an amazing cake decorator.
Wow.
Like it's insane the talent that she has. So I always feel like I was so lucky to get paired with her, but also I was so scared at the beginning. And I feel like in the first episode, it was just me being like, oh my God, don't mess this up for her, don't mess this up for her, don't mess this up for her.
No, you didn't. You added to it. You added to it.
Thank you. But I will not lie, the first episode, I was scared.
Well, you made something in the first episode. I have a passion for anything malt. And if I'm not mistaken, something you made had a malted mousse in it.
Yes.
Tell me about that real
it was-
quick. I have to
Just
hear
tell me about
about
the
that.
malted
Tell me about
mousse.
the malted mousse. Let me just think about it and
for
solve it.
my dessert was an almond cake. Then I made a malted almond praline. So imagine kind of like a peanut butter spread, but with almonds and with malted into it. So good, crunchy. And then I finalized it with a malted mousse around. So you have those really roasted notes, but also that flavor of the malts that we actually grow up with. It was such a good dessert.
It's just looked and sounded so. We're having you in the studio next time, Juan. And
She just
Please,
wants you to.
anytime.
I would love it.
Well, but you also you have created your own signature chocolate line,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, Union.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah, it's called Union. Yes, correct.
How did that come
And
about?
Yeah, so that was actually one of the prizes that I got from School of Chocolate, that I was able to develop my own chocolate. And I wanted to do something unique, but also something that comes through the heart of the Latino culture. So I created a chocolate, and it's called Union because Union in Spanish, or in English, it's Union in Spanish, and in English means union, because I'm using cocoa beans that are touching Colombia.
Okay.
So all the countries that are touching Colombia, I grabbed those and created my chocolate.
Amazing.
So it is a really nice chocolate, and I really wanted to play that homage to the Latino culture. So you have those really nice sweet notes at the beginning, because as a Latino, and I can tell you, we're not a big fan of bitter chocolate. We like our chocolate, we like a little bit more sweeter, more milky. So what I did was I kind of like play that into the first notes that you try. Once you try it, you get that really sweetness without being overpowering. But then you get these beautiful notes of cocoa at the end. It's such a nice chocolate to work with.
Juan, I really wish you could see Ellen's face right now, because have you ever scratched a dog's belly and their eyes kind of roll back into their head because they're in such bliss?
He's speaking my language.
I'm doing it right now.
That is what is happening right now.
Well, where can people in Chicago taste your delicious creations, Juan?
So I am the corporate pastry chef from Letters to Entertain You. So we have a ton of restaurants all around Chicago.
Oh,
So
know them well.
it's
I have
all
worked at
different.
them.
Yeah. It's all different all around. If you guys want amazing Japanese desserts, we have Miura de San Regis. One of my favorite desserts there is the black sesame mochi. It's fantastic. You will definitely go back for it again. And then at Tredita, also at the San Regis, we have this tiramisu, which is, I would say, one of the best tiramisus in Chicago. It's so good, and it's beautiful presented.
No, all right. Tiramisu is right up my alley.
And we can never forget about our famous cookies from Summer House.
I love Summer House, and I always have a cookie when I leave. I take one to go. I eat a dessert while I'm sitting down, one, and then as I leave, I get a cookie to go.
Well, have you tried the banana cookie?
No.
What?
No, I haven't.
Yes. Well, I want you to go this week to try that banana cookie. And everybody who is hearing listening to this right now, that banana cookie is just out of this world.
Tell me about it. I've never even heard of a banana cookie.
Yeah, so it's something that I just created. We just put it a month ago, and it's so good. Imagine having like a banana bread, but crunchy, but as a cookie. So it's crunchy on the outside, gooey on the inside. It has little pieces of caramelized banana inside.
Oh, man. I'm heading over there this week, Juan. I am going.
It is so good. So if you sit down to eat at the restaurant, I would recommend to get a banana cookie a la mode.
Oh my God.
A scoop of ice cream, warm, oh my God.
My wife is listening, and I know she's looking at the calendar right now to think about when we can get in there.
Well, speaking of the calendar, I would be slapped on the wrist if we are coming up to one of the biggest cooking holidays here in the United States, is good old Thanksgiving. What is going to be on your Thanksgiving table for desserts? And do you have any suggestions for folks who where can they go buy something, or if they're, wanting to make a new creation, but perhaps sick of, pumpkin pie, can you give some inspiration for the Thanksgiving table?
Yeah. So So for my Thanksgiving table, we're definitely we're gonna be a little bit more different this time because all my friends are just excited about the show. So they're gonna be lucky to try some of the stuff that we're seeing on episode 1 and then coming episode 2. And then of course I cannot have Thanksgiving without my chocolate silk pie.
Chocolate silk pie? Okay.
Yes. That is fantastic. But I also have listen, I'm not a big fan of pumpkin, so when Thanksgiving arrives, I'm like, okay, pumpkin again. But there is this pie that is this pumpkin chiffon pie that we have that is so good.
So we have, meaning at the Let Us Entertain You sells it?
Yeah.
Okay. Pumpkin chiffon
All right,
pie. I'm writing it down,
Ellen is
Juan.
writing everything down.
I'm writing it down because I'm hosting this year. So the show is it all in the can? Is it all done?
The show is all done, correct.
So you know who won, but you can't tell us, of course.
I don't know what you're saying right now.
What do you mean? It's happening before our eyes.
I hope that you win, Juan, because
thank you
you're
so
a
much.
Chicago friend and you're a friend of the show. So I'm wishing you,
thank you
all the best luck on winning this competition. I look forward to seeing the next episode.
I know. And
Me too. I'm really excited.
And the next episode is going to drop on Thursdays, so make sure that you go and check out Food Network's Harry Potter Wizards of Baking this holiday season. New episodes are on Thursdays, and you get to see Chicago's very own Juan Gutierrez, who's making us very, very hungry right now.
How many weeks will it be? How many weeks is it on? How many episodes were there?
So I know it's 6 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So that's, I mean, I didn't go to school for math, so that I have no idea.
Okay, so
yeah,
how many weeks?
Okay.
There we go. All right.
It's going to go until December. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So make sure you can check it out. Again, Food Network's Harry Potter Wizards of Baking on Thursdays.
Thank
Juan
you,
Gutierrez,
Juan.
thank you so much for joining us today, and best of luck with the competition.
We hope you win, Juan.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take
All
care.
right, we have got to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is the final thrilling show-stopping moments about Chicago right here on WCPT.
Welcome back to Out Chicago on Chicago's Progressive Talk. Can I get you another Bellini?
No, Stephanie Miller, you can get us some desserts. That was so delicious.
For one day, I forget my snack, too.
I know.
That's okay.
I am famooshed.
I'm famooshed.
I am so famooshed right now and everything.
But we'll find food eventually.
We will. There will be food.
It's
There
called
will
in
be
my sandwich order.
There, all
From
right,
the
there
deli
we are.
across the
There
street.
we go. Thank you. Thank you
Makes
so
me
much.
feel better.
Thank you. Yeah. Hey, I know something else that might make some people feel better.
Yes.
So this weekend at the Venus Cabaret Theater on Southport there's a show called You're Being Ridiculous. It's 3 nights. It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's real people telling real stories. And the theme is wow. And I'm going to be telling one of the stories. They're on Friday the 22nd. And our good friend Tanya Richard is going to be telling a story on the 23rd. So just want to let you know that if you want to come out and if you've never been to a live lit or a storytelling show, you really should go check it out. It's super duper fun. We've had Jeremy Owens on the show before. He is the curator and producer of the show, as well as a performer. He'll be performing all 3 nights. I wonder how he got that gig.
How did he? Now, what night are you on again?
I'm on Friday the 22nd.
Okay.
Yes. But if you want to go and check out a show, a storytelling kind of moment.
Can you give us any hints as to what you might be?
Yeah. Well, the theme is wow.
Okay.
So, we're trying to keep everything positive and excited. And my story is called The Night I Huffed Oprah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huffed isn't like huffing paint that kids
Smell.
used to.
Yeah, smell.
The way you. Okay. You huff. Okay.
Yeah, The Night I Huffed Oprah.
And do you know who else is on with you that night?
I do. Oh, yes. Actually, some really good friends of mine, actually. I need to look at
I'm going
all
to interview
the lineup.
you right now.
Okay, great.
Tell us about who's
I'll
on
tell
with
you a
you,
little bit
Scott
about what's
Duff,
going
on
on. I need
next
to
Friday,
see
the
who's- Wait, hold on
22nd.
one second.
At the
just
Venus
lost the thing.
Cabaret on Southport.
Yes,
in the Mercury
night
Theater.
that I am doing it is going to be Archie Jamjan, who actually he was on the show.
Oh, yeah.
He's been on the show many times.
Yeah.
He's the curator of Outspoken.
He was
That I'm wearing that
today.
T-shirt. Didn't even realize that.
So synergy.
There's
so much synergy.
So much synergy.
Synergistic.
That's such a corporate term. So
I know.
much
That's where I
synergy.
learned it when we were bought out by CBS. But anyway,
All right,
years ago.
there we
Oh,
are.
job.
But yeah, Archie Jamjan, he does Outspoken, and he's also doing stand-up, performs all over the place. Two of my favorite comics, Amy Sumter, who we've actually also had her on the show.
Yeah.
Amy Sumter, she is she's a comic, and she's also in an all-lady Beastie Boys cover band called She's Crafty.
Yes.
She's
all coming back to me.
Adore this person so much. She's hilarious. She's a weirdo. She likes to high kick. She is a high kick, although her kick is getting a little not quite as high these days as it happens. And then another fabulous comedian, Alexander Sarpalis, is going to be there. I love her. She used to do this bit. It was where she had these little tiny porcelain hands that she found at a dollar store, and she just had these little tiny hands. It was very strange. So they're all going to be there, as well as Holly Birnbaum and Patrick Curtin, Chris Broquet, Chris Davis, and of course Jeremy Owens. So that's on my night. I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
Well, Alexander sounds like she might be one of my people.
She is one of your people. She is Greek. Yes.
She looks familiar.
She's been around. She's
been around. I've seen her.
She's been around.
Well, we may have to come see you.
Well, come check it out. But tickets are going fast.
Uh-oh.
So if you want to go to check out You're Being Ridiculous for any of the 3 nights, let me tell you,
we
it'll
need
be
this.
great.
This is what we need. Trust me, I saw Judy Gold, as we talked about a week ago Friday, and boy, did we need to hear Judy Gold.
Yeah. So head to mercurytheaterchicago.com. You can click on the Venus Cabaret little link that's in there to get your ticket.
That sounds fun, Scott. I'm going to try and make that.
It's fun. The only thing that I'm dreading is just parking. Parking is always hard.
You know, we went to the Salt Shed last night, as I mentioned, to see the band Dawes, and the opening act was Winnetka Bowling League, who are also really good. Good vocals, good melodies, the kind of thing I like. And we're like, the Salt Shed is notorious for not being a very easy place to get to.
Yeah.
And I'm hesitant to call car services because the concert ends. I don't want to stand out there.
Oh, and then surge pricing and all that stuff.
All that stuff. So we said, it's not super cold. If we wear the right things, we can ride the motor scooter. And I had leather jacket.
Of course you do.
I had a balaclava underneath my helmet.
Okay.
My face was covered. I had like winter socks, leather boots, my thickest jeans.
Did you have your hand warmers? Or
I had gloves.
Uh-huh.
And going was, I'm like, oh my God, this is so pleasant. This is great. We parked literally like just, put a scooter like right there.
Yeah.
And then coming home was a little nippy, but we got home. I like raced home. I was home in like 14 minutes after the show was over.
See?
At 11, it ended at 11:15. We were home by 11:29.
Okay. Are you one of these people that zips in and out of traffic?
Of course not.
Girl.
Sweetie, don't say anything.
Girl, you know that.
course
You know,
not.
if you did that
No.
to me, you know exactly what I would thought. I'm like, you voted for him. You voted for him because that's what I do. That's what I do these
I
days.
would have been wrongly accused.
That is what I do
All right,
these days.
I didn't zip in and out too much. She's going to be texting me in a second. But I did kind of.
Sweetie's texting me right now saying she's a liar. She's a liar.
I did kind of pull up when there was a big wide right side of the lane, and when the light turned green, I looked both ways because people run red lights here.
They do. Mm-hmm.
You cannot assume because the light's green that people are not gonna stop for you. And I zipped in front of the car, and I just wanted to get home. So I didn't do zigging in and out. I just did some on the side. I do the on the side and get up front, and then I cut across. Is that bad? Does that make me a
Yes. You voted for him, didn't you?
No, hell no.
You voted for him.
Hell no.
That's what. Yeah.
But
that is
so
how I.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I mean,
selfish people generally voted for him. And that's not really selfish. That's me trying to get home after a concert because it's freezing out.
You're cold.
We were cold. But we were so proud of ourselves that we rode the scooter in mid-November. I usually kind of put it up for the year.
Kathy did just text me, actually. She's a zipper. How did you know? And I'm like, I can feel it.
I knew she would bust me. Darn it. Oh, well, what are you going to do? So on a sadder note, my mom, I've talked about my mom's family. My mom was one of 8 siblings.
Amazing.
And up until a couple of months ago, 5 of them were alive. But as of Thursday, 3 of them were alive. We lost my uncle, George. He was my mom's baby brother. He was the youngest of the entire family of the 8. The oldest is 102, Aunt Stella. She'll be 102 next month.
Amazing.
She's still having a great life. And the youngest was Uncle George. And we lost him on Thursday. And I had a little bit of a conflicted relationship with him in the later years, but repaired it because he was a lifelong Republican. Mm-hmm. But he was also my earliest role model because my dad traveled Monday through Friday, and my Uncle George and his wife, whose funeral I attended earlier this summer, they didn't have kids at the time, and I lived nearby them, and they liked me, and I loved them. So I spent a lot of time with them. I took a trip from Ohio to Chicago with them. I mean, memories I made with them, because my dad, like I said, was traveling, and he was my hero. He was an attorney. And I wanted to be an attorney when I grew up because of him.
Because of him.
He was a Republican. He showed me a picture of Ronald Reagan even before he was governor of California in the early 60s and said, this guy's going to be president someday.
What?
And he was so I was a big Republican as a child because my father was a Democrat, but my Uncle George was a Republican.
And Uncle George knew what was going on.
And Uncle George was my role model. I mean, I spent a summer in Ohio when I was 8. I said, I'm done. We had just moved to Chicago, and my grandparents said, you want to spend the summer? I said, get me out of here. I want to be back in Ohio. And I was with Uncle George a lot. He was coming with his 3-piece suit into the restaurant. My grandfather owned a restaurant. I'd go in every morning with him and help out in the restaurant as an 8-year-old. And so and then as we grew older, and I formed my political opinions in college. And thankfully, by the first time I was able to vote, I voted for Jimmy Carter in 1976. And then I kind of had a conflicted relationship. But the last, and then with Trump, I was like kind of writing to him and saying, Uncle George, I can't, even now, can't you put country before party? And I know he didn't like Trump at all, but I think he was one of these Republicans that voted for the party, and he just couldn't bring himself to vote for a Democrat. But the moral of the story is my love for him never wavered. I've seen him a lot this summer because of the other, his wife passing away, my aunt, and my other aunt passing away, and a 100th birthday party for the aunt that passed away in October for the
right, yeah.
And I called him a few times. He's the family historian. He was the head of the family when it comes. He was the leader of the family because of he was a city councilman. He got me into politics as a child because when I was just a little kid, he ran for mayor, and so the winning number of votes got mayor, and then the rest got city council. And I'll never forget the campaign and my parents being excited. So it's been tough for me. I didn't think I would. Feel this way, but it's the end of an era in my family.
Yeah.
So, kind of
sorry.
It's we love regardless of what the point of the story was. Even though he was a staunch Republican, he was somebody that was very dear to me, and he was helpful to me. And I'm working on a couple of projects that I'll talk about later. But anyway. The moral of the story is we love beyond our politics, and I'll miss him, and I'm going to go to Ohio tomorrow and be with his kids, and he's going to have a full military. He was also in the military, and he'll have full military services. So going to do that tomorrow with the rest of my family, and I'll be back here for next Sunday's show.
All right.
But, we love beyond.
That's amazing that you're able to do that because I know
it's hard. It is hard.
And I think maybe age might have something to do with it, but I have a very hard time. I have a really hard time with loving beyond, and I'm very conflicted
And so many people are. I mean, I think, he was 90. He had just turned 90 this year. And, you have limited time on earth. And I'm relishing the memories I had as a kid and how kind he was to me. And he was still kind to me in later years. And it's all about, love and respect. And sometimes you got to overcome. You got to overlook, I should say, things that you're not too happy about, because in the end, it's love that really matters.
That is true. That is very true.
I mean, if people are casual friends of mine that are Republicans, I'm not going to go out of my way, I'll be honest with you. But when someone is a family member, you got to try a little harder.
Yeah.
Just put it on the side and know that you can't change them, and you can just do what you can do to make the world a better place. So.
You are a better person than I.
Well, I'm an older person than you.
Well, you're
so
not
maybe
that much older.
I know,
but at the same time. Anyway, wow. Well, that kind of was a bummer, but like a good thing.
In the end, I feel good about my relationship with him.
Well, good. I'm so sorry for your
Thank
loss
you.
and for your whole family as
Thank
well.
Thank you.
And send you safe travels as you head out to Ohio.
Yes, we know the path well getting there.
There you go.
It's a regular route.
There you go. And that's going to do it for us for this week of Out Chicago. I want to thank our guests today, Jenn Thompson and Juan Gutierrez. Devin, always amazing, incredible.
How are the Bears doing?
7-3 Packers.
Okay.
There we are. The Bears are not doing well.
There's still time.
Whatever. I don't care.
He don't care.
They're here. Paul.
Bye, Paul.
Paul,
Hi,
you don't
Paul.
care. You don't care about the Bears. Do you? There you go. Paul doesn't care. Ellen Miller, again, so sorry for
Thank
your
you.
loss. Safe travels, and we look forward to seeing you.
I'll be back next Sunday,
week.
God willing.
There we go. And I am Scott Duff. And until next week,
Stay proud.